Yo, well going everyone. So, as you can tell, or as you should know by now, Attack on Titan has ended, the manga specifically. This past week we got chapter 139, and of course it's been met with mixed reception, mixed reviews by the Attack on Titan and just the community where anime is concerned in general. And of course, if you were there in my reaction slash review stream, you would know my initial thoughts and impressions on it. But as kinda promised, here I am to kind of give my thoughts in a more concise 10 to 15 minute fashion, hopefully. In case you're not really the let's go watch his 2 hour stream impressions reaction video type. And just fair disclaimer, going into this video to kind of discuss my thoughts with you guys, no music, no fancy editing, just a little straightforward discussion between myself and whoever actually pops on this video. Even though this video should be titled Final Thoughts, I'm always open to hearing the opinions and perspectives of those who I'll interact with, those persons whose videos I'll be watching even after this, because I've watched a few persons' videos and gotten their opinions, and I'm still open to discussion, even though this is my quote-unquote final discussion. So just getting that out there. So Attack on Titan chapter 139, as you guys know, for the most part, where Attack on Titan is concerned, I really only got into the series properly like about 2 months ago, give or take, probably almost nearing 3 months almost. And for the most part, I have loved it. I usually promote that I don't have a top 5, but it's been in my top 5 basically. And for the ending we got, I'm not gonna say here, I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit you guys and say, yo, it was a masterclass, it was a great ending, it was a well structured ending or anything like that. But at the same time, for me personally, I don't think it was a bad ending. It definitely, for me, just kind of get it out of the get it out there, it was definitely like a 6.5 out of 10 ending for me for chapter 139 specifically. But at the same time, I don't think it was as bad as persons say it was. No, I know a lot of persons, based on I've been going through comment sections, watching videos, as I said, and it seems like a lot of persons are comparing it to Code Geass, and that's fine. I mean, obviously the similarities are obvious, but at the same time, I think coming out of the ending, in terms of how Isayama put it forward to us, and comparing it to Code Geass, I think a lot of persons seem like they wanted more of like an idealistic ending. A lot of persons have been saying that, in terms of the issues when it comes down to the Attack on Titan story, in terms of, the relations between various factions and there's conflict in general when it comes down to humanity, a lot of persons are saying like the persons who are complaining about this actually wanted Isayama to solve these quote unquote real world issues that haven't been resolved yet in his story. Hence why I feel like a lot of persons kind of subconsciously wanted an idealistic ending. A lot of the positives for me from this ending really comes from the fact that I think Isayama really portrayed it in a more realistic sense. And I know a lot of persons might, use anime as escapism, and I think on a subconscious level, that's where a lot of issues come from. If I'm being honest, it's a very realistic ending, and that kind of really made it at least a serviceable ending for me personally. Now, what I will say more so in terms of the content itself, I feel most of the problems really come from the fact that the overarching point, and basically all my sub points are going to come from this, is that the chapter essentially needed to be longer. That's really and true. I think most problems come from the fact that the chapter really needed to be longer, because I think at the core of it, a lot of things that Isayama really set up, he wasn't able to finalize fleshing them out within the 49 pages, if you get what I mean. Granted, you also have to take into consideration that, hey, we don't know if it's a case where the magazine was gonna give him more than 49 pages, or we don't know if it's a case he could have taken a break and worked on more, making the chapter longer. We don't know exactly what the circumstances are despite that overarching problem, but we kind of have to call as we see it until we get more information. But just bear that in mind. No, I kind of have my points here in terms of the things that I feel needed to be fleshed out a bit more, to say the least. So of course, I think number one, Ymir and her perspective, and just getting more of her in the chapter outside of the whole dialogue that Eren had with Armin. I think we needed much more from Ymir in this chapter, especially since Ymir is this central figure. This isn't, as I was saying in my live reaction stream, this isn't just some side plot element. This is a element of the narrative that's very central to the story, and we needed to get some more payoff with that. So I think we needed more time to explore Ymir and her perspective, and we just didn't get that in the chapter for the most part, and that was kind of one part of my disappointment with it. Two being why Ymir chose Mikasa. No, I'm not saying with these points that I had problem with. You could make educated guesses based on what Isayama had set up. But why was Mikasa chosen by Ymir? You know, naturally, as I said, you can make educated guesses. You know, all Eldians are connected to the founding Titan. As Armin said in chapter 137, where he was saying, yo, you know, Ymir seems to want something from us. She's connected to all of us. So maybe through her connection, she saw that, you know, Mikasa shared a similar love to how she felt towards King Fritz. And compared to how Mikasa's love for Eren. And, you know, something along the lines of that, you know, I don't know if I even articulated that properly, but something along the lines. You can make an educated guess along the lines of that, but it kind of comes down to the show don't tell, and again it goes back to the main point that he just probably didn't have enough pages to dive into that. Now, for me as well, going through the points here, you know, we've always made a point of future Eren kind of sending back memories and manipulating things in the past and all that thing, but we've never, apart from the Grisha interactions in chapter 121, we don't get to see anything else in terms of that. That's probably just a personal thing for me, probably. I wanted to see more of when future Eren, because it's highly hinted that he basically controlled or manipulated things for Dinah to actually kill his mom, but I wanted to see at what point does he actually do that. We can make some educated guesses on that as well, but it's kind of left kind of vague, kind of ambiguous. I was kind of wanted more on that, if I'm being quite honest, so we didn't get that. No, they kind of subconsciously, or well, probably not subconscious, but on a certain level, they kind of confirmed the kind of time loop theory, but or maybe there isn't a time loop. No, it might be like a causality loop or something like that. But you know, just a lot of these potential concepts that he kind of had, it kind of felt like we kind of brushed over them or kind of rushed through. And that's it. I know a lot of persons went into with the whole theories of his story and our baby, but I wanted more from his story as well. If even not from the whole, you know, his story of baby being a central element, I just wanted more from Historia. So there is that. More like there could be more points. But for the most part, the chapter just definitely felt like it could have been longer to kind of highlight and discuss things from Ymir's perspective, and Mikasa being the chosen one. Kind of finalizing stuff with future Eren, sending back memories and manipulating things. But for the most part, it kind of felt like we were kind of brushed over that. But all that aside, as I said, it more or less feels like a very realistic ending. I know a lot of persons are complaining that Eren died for nothing has changed and all of that. And as I said, it kind of goes back to the comparison between Iten Code Geass, where it's kind of like, you know, the Luch kind of became the bad guy for, you know, the kind of Sasuke-ish kind of plan where he becomes a central figure of hatred for the world, and once he's done, everybody's going to sing Kumbaya. But that's kind of seems, even though its execution is great, I mean, yeah, but realistically speaking, that probably wouldn't be the case in a real world aspect if you really think about it. I know a lot of series kind of try to do that as well, kind of like Gundam 00, but you know, that seems almost idealistic if I'm being quite honest. So I think he went along the realistic route. Now, as I was saying, a lot of persons have been complaining that Eren didn't accomplish his goal, but or didn't accomplish much, but I kind of disagree to say the least. Because a lot of the things that Eren accomplished in this chapter, in this finale here, kind of goes in line with a lot of things that he's actually said throughout the story, a lot of feelings that he's conveyed to other persons, other characters, and it actually came through. Because one, of course, he said at the beginning of the story he's gonna get rid of all Titans, and of course that's what he did. So now the Eldian race, the Eldian people, no longer have to live with the curse of Ymir. They can no longer be used by other nations to, propagate the cycle of hatred, as well as the remaining Eldians no longer have to, breed like livestock and actually continue the cycle of children or relatives killing each other and placing a time limit on all these Titan shifters. These are actual points that in the story that Eren has like straight up disagreed with at the same time. And it also ties back into the fact that he actually said during the time skip, between that 3 to 4 year time skip before he went all rogue, that he wants his friends, his family, his nation to live long and healthy lives. And of course they could not do that if the curse of the Titans were actually still a thing. So for the most part he actually gave them a fighting chance, or at least he cleared that up and met those objectives at the same time. Now what I will also say is the fact that he also, though, I love the fact that even though he wanted to he worked towards the result of whatever Mikasa's choice would have been, which he didn't know, but yeah. So I guess he kind of suspected that Mikasa would kill him, but didn't know for sure. But yeah, he worked towards that. But despite all of that and wanting to paint his friends as heroes, to actually kind of put them in a similar position to the Tiber family, so they could be in a position to facilitate peace and the remaining 20% of humanity that's left. I like how they point it, like they paint him as not being this, I'm striving for this ultimate goal, or I see myself as the hero. Isayama straight up said in the chapter, let Eren say, yo, even if I didn't know you guys were going to stop me, I would have still rumbled the world all the same. And the context for that, when Armin asks him this, is that, yo, why did you do it? He says he doesn't know. But Isayama essentially answers the question for us. Why did you do it? Even if you didn't know that your friends would stop you. And from the very beginning, Grisha has told him you are free. And what have they painted in the story from the very, well, probably not the very beginning, but from early on, where Eren was saying, or even in chapter 121, 122, when he was saying to Zeke, I've been this way since birth. If somebody tries to take my freedom, then I'll take back their freedom. And that's what it comes to. The world has put Eren essentially in a cage. So that kind of answers the question, why would he actually still go ahead with the rumbling, even if he didn't know his friends would stop him? So it doesn't paint Eren as this character who's trying to be like this grand hero at the same time. And I think it's a case where I don't think anyone's gonna agree with Eren's actions at the same time, but he has reasons. You can empathize with where he's coming from at the same time. Now, of course, by the end here, a lot of persons, I feel like, have mistakenly taken the last words in the manga regarding this won't end until either the world or the Eldians disappear. I think a lot of persons misinterpreted that section because that was specifically essentially quoting Eren's words. That's what Eren felt. But of course they weren't sure. But essentially at the end of the day, they've left the rest of the world, the fate of the world, up to the survivors essentially. So I think at the end of the day, it's a very realistic ending. Thematically, in terms of what they were going for with Eren's character and his goals and objectives, this chapter basically solidified that he did make a difference essentially, but in a more realistic, real world sense, in terms of how a situation like that would have actually went down, where he's paved the way for his friends to be the mediators between the rest of the world and Eldia, essentially. So there's that. So at the end of the day, not a perfect ending, but I think it's satisfactory once you actually put all the factors on the table at the end of the day. So yeah, I feel like I might have missed something, but it is what it is. So at the end of the day, what I'll say is that Eren managed to essentially achieve some of his goals in relation to emotions and statements that he's expressed in the story up until now. But at the same time, it doesn't really paint him as the idealistic hero I feel like a lot of persons would want him to be. It shows that he's human, that he's still flawed, and everything kind of comes full circle with things that Isayama has conveyed about his character from jump essentially. And for the most part, I think by the end of the year, he's just given Eldia a fighting chance to actually coexist with the rest of the world. And Isayama, for me, for the most part, while while he needed at the end of the day, while he needed more time, more pages to flesh out everything that he could have fleshed out with this final chapter, I would say if it was twice the length. At the same time, I think he managed to present the end of the story in a realistic, non-idealistic way, as a lot of series would have actually went for in terms of that route. Hopefully I'm making sense. Maybe I missed something, but at the end of the day, as I said, I'm still open to discussions regarding this finale, even though this is my quote-unquote final thoughts. But I thought it was a decent ending all the same. Yeah, for the most part. I really hope that we get at some point, I don't know, probably some bonus or epilogue chapters to see Eren's conversation with each of the persons he actually had conversations with, like Annie, John, Connie, Raina. I would want to see those conversations because we only got to see Armin and essentially Mikasa's conversation. And just food for thought, it does seem like the headaches that Mikasa has been having, because of course I know persons are pointing out that it seems like it's a plot hole, like Eren manipulated Mikasa's memories, but it does seem like that flash forward, that dream sequence from chapter 1 and that dream sequence that we had in last chapter 138 was essentially Eren's conversation with Mikasa in the past realm, where they seem like they actually lived 4 years, and since we know that time moves differently in the past realm, it seemed like that 4 years was actually lived out by them. And when he tried to erase their memories, maybe since Ackermans should be immune, it seems like that's the cause of Mikasa's headaches, and memories don't stay altered or suppressed, and in the process of coming back to her, yeah, hence the headaches. So there's that. So it seems like that's the case, which I think is beautiful. Yeah. But all in all, let me know what you think. Maybe I'm talking foolishness. I'd love to hear your perspective. Even if you are a person who's given this a 1 out of 10 ending and you feel it's ruined it, I would love to talk with you guys more, because it is what it is, different opinions. But I thought it was a 6.5 out of 6.5. At most, I'd give it a 7, but that's on a good day. But I think average 6.5. So yeah, I loved it still. The Levi scene, that touched me, honestly. But I hope you guys. Jeez. Shinzo Sasageyo. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a like if you enjoyed anything I had to say. And of course, comment, share this video out. And I'll see you in potentially the next Attack on Titan video. Sanjay Uchiha, Shinzo Sasageyo.